Hi guys, and welcome back to another DrAce video, and today we're going to be playing MotoGP 21 and we're going to be discussing the Grand Prix of Emilia, Romagna just yesterday. What three magnificent Grand Prix events, really truly something to remember, and of course for many reasons it was exceptionally special for a lot of reasons which we are going to discuss here today. So without further ado, let's just crack on with it because we have a lot to discuss and not that much time to get through it. So starting off first, we're going to discuss Moto 3, then we'll discuss Moto 2, and then to MotoGP. So let's discuss the 250cc bikes, and starting in Moto 3, Dennis Foggia. My goodness, that man is on an absolute charge right now in Moto 3. A championship that looked pretty much done and dusted halfway through for Pedro Acosta now looks pretty interesting and very, very entertaining in the sense of this could go down to the final lap of Valencia if things continue. An amazing, truly amazing job for Dennis Foggia from going down as far as 15th or maybe even lower at the start of the Grand Prix. Still came out on top after a dominating performance and still was under heavy pressure from Romagna, but did not buckle at all. Not 1 point did he buckle, and he was unbelievably good. Dennis Foggia is on another level, and I really, really hope, this is kind of biased to say in a way, but I really want Dennis Foggia to try and win this one and get the victory because I haven't seen a defending Moto3 champion ever. I would love to have a defending Moto3 world champion. Of course, Dennis Foggia will be retaining his position in Moto3 next season with the Leopard Honda team, so if he was a world champion and could defend it and potentially take a double world championship, that'd be very, very special. But shout out to Romagna and Pedro Acosta. Pedro Acosta did not look like he was going to get anywhere near the podium on Sunday, but he still managed to find a way. Granted, there was a couple of crashes and a couple of moments ahead of him, but still finishing on the podium for Pedro Acosta was a wonderful job and was damage limitations. He lost 9 points and the championship lead is now about 31 points, but it's soon gone down. The championship lead was originally about 67 points just a couple of races ago. So that is how much of a tear that Dennis Foggia is on right now. Yes, of course, Pedro Acosta had a little mistake. His only blot on his wonderful record this season was in Aragon when he took out Xavi Artigas, but ultimately a very, very impressive season. You can't forget Qatar performances, and you can't forget most of them, even in Austria, etc. But of course, Romagna on the podium. It's good to see Romagna back on the podium. He needs to try and ride the momentum. He seems to be right there, and then he disappears, and then he comes back and disappears once again. So interesting results for Andrea Migno. Darren Binder, great to see him. He had the podium for so long, but unfortunately the man who's moving up to MotoGP next season couldn't quite hang on to the podium and not only lost second place, he then lost, only lost third place. He almost lost fifth to Stefano Nepa, but thankfully for Binder, he regained it back in the Mazzano corner. And honestly, Stefano Nepa, for me, apart from Dennis Foggia, was the rider of the race. He was brilliant. The Italian in his home track, certainly doing his best to try and hang on to a podium position, and he pushed Pedro Acosta right down to the death. So amazing job for Stefano Nepa. Dennis Foggia does take the biscuit and the whole cake, but brilliant job for Stefano Nepa nonetheless. And of course, many crashes in Moto3. The conditions were still a bit off. You know, it had been raining all weekend, and we had a dry session with a couple of wet lines on the track, and it did catch out a couple of riders such as Yuki Kuni, Andrea Migno in his home track, never good to see, Carlos Tatai, Tatsuki Suzuki, John McPhee and Ricardo Rossi, all not having great results, and I did expect better for Ricardo Rossi. Starting on the front row, Ricardo Rossi should have been up there and fighting for the majority of it, but he went backwards the second the Grand Prix started, so not very good, especially considering his teammate Stefano Nepa was right there with them to the end and potentially fighting for a podium. Good stuff from Stefano Nepa, but not so much on the other side of the BOE Owl Wide team. But I'm going to keep it brief as mentioned, so unfortunately I'm going to move on from Moto 3 now and discuss Moto 2 because we do have a lot to discuss. And moving on to Moto 2, which was an incredible race, really, really fascinating stuff that was happening. Sam Lowes takes the victory. Great to see finally Sam Lowes has ruined the pole jinx that was around, where people couldn't seem to win from pole position. Sam Lowes certainly can, and he also didn't finish 4th place for a change, so good job to Sam Lowes. And of course a race-winning overtake coming at this point of the track right now that we're on, with on screen of course. Out of shape, going into the left-hander, getting ahead of Aaron Canet was probably one of the best overtakes I've seen this season, and he did it with style. Sam Lowes was so determined from the qualifying session to the warm-up and now to the race itself. Brilliant performance from Sam Lowe. It's good to see he's finally got some momentum back and acquiring his 22nd podium for the number 22, of course. Augusto Fernandez took second place, the man who was given a long lap penalty before the race even begun for hindering the progress of Aaron Canet in qualifying just the day before. And of course, brilliant performance from Augusto Fernandez, the long lap penalty, battling through the pack to try and get himself back up towards the podium positions. Didn't just get on the podium, he took second place right at the death, ahead of Aaron Canet, the man who did lead the Grand Prix for quite a while until he was overtaken by Raul Fernandez, which we'll discuss in a moment's time. But Aaron Canet hanging on to the podium. Looked like his bike was running out of fuel towards the end because he tried to pick it up into Misano for the final corner and just lost a lot of momentum and speed when Augusto Fernandez just jumped on through and pinched his second position. But I did mention that Raul Fernandez was leading this Grand Prix, and I tell you what, the biggest shock of the season, absolutely massive shock. I did not expect Raul Fernandez to crash in Quercia here in Misano. Absolutely just unbelievable. I said to my mum whilst watching it, Raul Fernandez is impeccable when he gets to the front. When he gets to the front and starts churning out the lap times, there's no stopping him. And next thing you know, he's down in the gravel with a tremendously massive crash. It was extremely concerning the amount of times he barrel rolled and tucked and rolled many times into the gravel of Quercia. It was very concerning, but he is absolutely fine from what I can tell. But my goodness, there was so much drama going on at that point that there was just a drama overload completely. Remy Gardner was given a long lap penalty for taking out Somkiat Chantra, which I think was absolutely fair. He did look a little bit too aggressive, and I don't think his intention was to knock Somkiat Chantra off. He was just trying to get on through, because points make prizes and positions give points. So therefore, if you want the prizes, you've got to get the highest amount of points, and therefore Remy Gardner was just trying to get on the inside of Somkiat Chantra, but by doing so, gives himself a long lap penalty. And after that one, a track limit warning as well, so he could potentially be going back to the track limits and doing the long lap penalty once again. But whilst all that was occurring, Raul Fernandez took over at the front and then crashed in tremendous fashion into Quercia. Honestly, the championship standings were all over the place. Remy Gardner was so far behind, Raul Fernandez were going to take the victory. You're talking possibly around a 20-point swing to Raul Fernandez's favour. Next thing you know, bang, Raul Fernandez is out of the Grand Prix, just like that. Absolutely astonishing. Didn't see that coming at all, not whatsoever. Really, just, I'm very surprised still to this point now. I'm glad Raul Fernandez is okay, and I'm pretty certain that the championship is still going to rage on to Valencia, and I can't wait to see what the finale is going to be in store for us. But my goodness, incredible, absolutely incredible moment for Raul Fernandez and in this World Championship in Moto 2. But I guess enough about that one. I want to quickly mention, probably in my opinion, the second ride of the day, because of course Sam Lowe's brilliant performance. Celestino Vietti in the Grazie Vale livery for the Sky VR 46 team, which was, quite, let's be honest, the best livery I've ever seen in MotoGP. It was so bright, you could see it from anywhere on the track. It was fantastic. And not just as a Rossi fan, just in general, I just thought the livery was amazing. And it was such a nice little gesture to the 9-times world champion. But brilliant performance from Celestino. I was very disappointed he didn't manage to get it on the podium, but he wasn't that far away. Just a couple more seconds behind Aaron Canet and the race winner. But he did a great performance and outshadowed Marco Bezzecchi, unfortunately. Binned his going into turn 15. Not the weekend we expected from Marco Bezzecchi. It was a very rough start from the beginning. Qualifying didn't go well, crashing heavily, and now out of the race on Sunday, so not good for Marco Bezzecchi. And of course the championship is pretty much over for him anyway. Well, actually it is over, but it's still maybe fighting for third position, and he has Sam Lowe to deal with next. So looking at the crashes of the day, unfortunately, Marco Bezzecchi, as mentioned, Xavi Vierge, another crash for the man on board the Petronas Sprinter Racing Calex. Tony Arbolino, didn't see anything with Tony Arbolino, to be quite honest with you. We got the notification that he crashed, but never seen anything about it. Hope he's okay. Mattia Cassadai was turning in for Joe Roberts on board the Italtrans. Fortunately, even he crashed from a short stint in Moto E and now coming to Moto 2 to unfortunately crash here in Misano. Raul Fernandez, as mentioned. Hector Gartho is on the worst streak ever. Another crash for him, who's also going to be jobless next season, so unfortunately he's not doing himself any favours. Tommaso Marcon, Cameron Bobier and Somkiat Chantra, as mentioned, after Remy Gardner bumped him, but I guess that's going to be it for now, because we really do need to discuss MotoGP, and I'm kind of running out of time. But Moto 2, amazing, really was amazing. Raul Fernandez, the championship just on its head right now. It's going to be very entertaining to see the next couple of Grand Prix, let me tell you, but pretty good race in all, but we really need to discuss MotoGP. So first things first, Fabio Quartararo is the world champion of MotoGP 2021. Incredible season for Yamaha, and particularly Fabio Quartararo. It has been absolutely fantastic for the Frenchman. He has been brilliant all season. I don't think anyone is surprised that Fabio is the world champion this season. He was always looking pretty good from the beginning and has just continued to ride the momentum. There's been a few hiccups along the way, but what World Championship run has not got a few hiccups along the way. Amazing job for Fabio, really pleased for him. But honestly, I really wanted Pecco Bagnaia just to keep the fight up a little bit longer. It's always better to have a more competitive championship than it is for a runaway leader, but Pecco Bagnaia, he surprised me. Probably another biggest shock of Misano as well. I mentioned Raul Fernandez crashing. Pecco Bagnaia in the lead for the entirety of the Grand Prix, from the whole shot towards pretty much all of the race. Only 5 more laps from the end, and he crashed going into turn 15, the same spot that Marco Bezzecchi crashed, and the same spot that Jack Miller crashed at as well. So a perfect weekend for the Factory Ducati team, for the Bologna Bullets, going from Pecco Bagnaia in first position, a Ducati lockout on the front row with Jack Miller second and Luca Marini third with that terrific Valentino Rossi livery. Unfortunately, ended in disaster. Luca Marini was nowhere near the podium. Pecco Bagnaia crashed. The championship is now over. Jack Miller crashed. The team championship is now over. Absolutely bizarre scenes. I never expected Pecco Bagnaia to crash after being so dominant throughout the entire Grand Prix. And what the craziest thing is, he was being trailed by Marquez for the majority of the Grand Prix, but Marquez was not catching him. He was there and thereabouts, but he'd begun to slow down, and you could see that Pecco had the advantage, and then bang, disaster struck for Pecco. Honestly, super surprising, and I'm a little bit disappointed that Fabio won in this manner. I would have rather it still been him competitive and fighting for the wins, but unfortunately this time it just seemed that Pecco just lost the front and unfortunately lost his World Championship in that same moment. But massive amount of respect to everyone involved in MotoGP. Massive respect to Pecco Bagnaia for crashing and accepting defeat, watching the celebrations of Fabio, and even going out there and presenting himself to celebrate and to share his congratulations to Fabio Quartararo. I love to see sportsmanship in our wonderful sport, and it's good to see it still alive here today. But I must get back to the actual podium results, because of course this has been overshadowed massively, and Marquez getting the victory for the first time in a clockwise circuit for 700 days is absolutely bizarre. And Marquez, of course, was brilliant all weekend. He was very competitive. Not what I expected. If you told me that Marquez was going to win here in Misano, I would have absolutely laughed. I never thought that was going to happen this weekend. Paul Espargaro second, a Repsol Honda 1-2. No way would I ever seen that coming. Amazing job. And I tell you what, something I didn't see either. The Beast, Enea Bastianini, once again somehow showing up in the second half of the season as the Rookie of the Year candidate. Enea went from being 16th place on the grid and passing the newly crowned World Championship winner Fabio Quartararo in the final corner here in Misano. Amazing. Enea Bastianini's on another level, and I tell you what, yes, Jorge Martin, pole position, Grand Prix winner in Red Bull Ring, Austria, missed a couple of races due to injury, but it's hard to not put Enea Bastianini as the Rookie of the Year. And don't forget, he is still the Moto2 World Champion after all. It's very difficult to say who you're going to say is the actual Rookie of the Year, but for me, I might have to go Enea Bastianini. He's not on the same hardware and machinery that Jorge Martin is. Pretty amazing stuff from Enea Bastianini. I didn't expect him to be on the podium. Yes, I guess you could say quite a lot of riders crashed ahead of him. Pecco Bagnaia, Miguel Oliveira, Jorge Martin, Iker Lecuona. The list goes on of riders that did actually crash. Jack Miller as well, of course, included in that one. But still, tremendous performance from Enea Bastianini, it really was. But the whole race itself was an interesting one. There was a lot of surprises in this one that I didn't expect to see. The biggest one being Pecco and Jack Miller crashing. Didn't expect that at all. Enea Bastianini, third place for him. And of course, right at the beginning when all this started, Joan Mir jumping the start right at the beginning, and he knew it straight away. You could see him shaking his head in disgust that he'd jumped the start. But Joan Mir, tough season for the former world champion. I did expect more from Joan Mir this season. I did expect more from Suzuki in general, but it does seem that after Davide Brivio's move to F1, things have not gone as smooth as they would have hoped, but I'm sure they'll bounce back in tremendous style as they've pretty much done so far. Just a few more things as well. Major props and praise to Maverick Vinales and Aleix Espargaro, both two Aprilias finishing in the top 8. I don't know if I've ever seen two Aprilias in the top 10 before. That's a tremendous job from both riders. They have really got the feeling of this Aprilia and they are improving it all the time. Maverick Vinales could definitely be a podium potential candidate next season on board the Aprilia. I think it's a little bit too early yet to discuss for the likes of Portimao and Valencia, but hey ho, who knows what's going to happen in MotoGP, the most unpredictable sport in World Championship racing in my opinion. Absolutely love this sport, of course it's the best. But big stuff happening of course due to Valentino Rossi retiring, seeing him and all the yellow army and all the yellow smoke and seeing his brand new helmet. It was tremendously good seeing Valentino Rossi with the fans and seeing the Valentino Rossi liveries. I'm obviously a massive Rossi fan, I'm guessing most of you guys are as well. Seeing him just celebrate with the fans, chucking that brand new helmet into the crowd was amazing, and he even acquired a top 10 finish, getting ahead of Brad Binder into the final corner and taking a top 10. Not too bad. I think Rossi looked alright all weekend, not in the wet, but in sense of the dry conditions, he did look okay. Not, of course, what we're used to seeing, but still pretty decent so far in Misano. I don't think we are going to see that 200th podium that we all desperately want to see, but unfortunately, life goes on. I guess life is, it is what it is, but I will confess, I was always one of the vein of the people to say, I'm a little bit concerned to see what happens in MotoGP when Valentino Rossi moves on, and people have asked me in the past, who will I support now that Valentino Rossi's retired? And I tell you what, the answer is simple, everyone. MotoGP is the best sport ever. It's my passion. I love MotoGP, and I tell you what, the sport is in very good hands with some incredible talent and some great personalities. We have probably some of the best personalities in MotoGP we've ever had. People are passionate, they are loyal, they enjoy the sport. It's a great time to be a MotoGP fan, it really is, and this sport can just continues to get better. But I think there's still quite a lot of stuff to discuss, but unfortunately I've not done that many laps here in Misano, so I'd probably need to do around 20, maybe 30 or 50 laps to actually get through everything I want to discuss. But brilliant scenes, brilliant weekend in Misano. I really enjoyed every single moment of it. But honestly, let me know what you guys think as well in the comment section down below. Did you have a good weekend here in Misano? Are you sad that we are coming close towards the end of MotoGP season? I know I am. But yeah, many surprises this season, and many surprises this Grand Prix here in Misano. Let's have a chat about it in the comment section down below, and then I can go and rest the throat because I've recorded a few videos here today. Well, thanks as always guys for watching the video. I'll show you my lap times here in just a moment's time, so stay tuned for that one. And upon the note guys, I will see you in the next video. So thanks for watching as always. Like, comment and subscribe if you enjoyed. Hit the notification bell to be alerted to every single DrAce upload and live stream. Got lots more MotoGP and Ridefall content and even GP bikes. So make sure you're subscribed and I will see you in the next video. Thanks for watching guys. It's been a pleasure. Ciao for now. Oh hi. Didn't quite see you there. Good to see you're still here. If this video didn't quite set your appetite, then why not watch some more DrAce content by clicking the video shown on screen now. Furthermore, if you would like to follow me on social media, you can do so now with the links down in the description. Consider subscribing so you don't miss a single DrAce video.